Vulnerability, the state of being open to injury or appealing as if you are. It might be emotional, like admitting that you're in love with someone who might only think of you as a friend. Or it can be literal, like the vulnerability of a soccer goal that's unprotected by any defense players. Vulnerability, vulnerability. Not many people think of this word on something that needs to be done every single day, but guess what? It is. You just heard the real definition of vulnerability. What's your personal definition? Some people may just say a simple, I don't know, and don't give it much more thought. But for the rest of us, the main definition that comes to mind is being open. And now I say yes, vulnerability is being open, but yet it means so much more. We were presented at the beginning of this week with the idea of creating a TED Talk with any topic we could come up with. I struggled with this greatly. First, I started out thinking about simple things and easy things, such as feminism and mental health awareness. Then I sat and thought, well, what if I did something a little funny? Because from time to time, I can make an audience laugh. I thought how hilarious it would be to do a talk on the internet. But Brene Brown's TED Talk came to mind, which was on vulnerability. So here I am. I got on for one of the most vulnerable moments that I have voluntarily put myself up for. Personally, I was exposed to the word and the idea of vulnerability from a young age from my mother. But yet, I didn't ever use the idea of vulnerability until about a year ago. The idea of vulnerability can be one that is hard to wrap your mind around. Last year, around late September, I was diagnosed with shingles, which isn't too fun. So that meant not going to school for at least 2 weeks. I struggled with staying at home and doing all the schoolwork from home, and really struggling with wanting to ever go back to school again. None of my friends really checked on me, and yet I had had shingles on my birthday. I had nothing better to do but just to lie around and think and contemplating the same things over and over and over again. I found myself in a pit, and a deep one at that. I would lay on my mom's bed day after day, just crying my eyes out, day in and day out. I was wondering if I was even worthy enough to get love from anybody besides the people who have to love me, like your family. As I struggled over and over again with the idea of not being worthy enough, I finally got to the realization, yes, I was enough. But then the next big step came. I was worried about not having the same connection with my friends as I did when I left. Yes, I do realize that bonds can be broken easily, almost as easy as you can cut a thread. Very easy. My connection felt so weak. I felt betrayed. I felt like no one really cared. I stayed in, not wanting to even put myself out there after I was completely healed from the shingles. The new idea of really putting yourself out there is what I struggled with. I was still crying daily over anything and everything. I had to be picked up from school so many times because my depression and anxiety was holding me back. I had to be picked up from school so many times because I couldn't stop crying. I couldn't do the normal daily tasks. My anxiety and depression were through the roof. I became so nervous to do anything, from ordering at a restaurant to barely being able to talk to certain people. I also wouldn't talk anytime about feelings or emotions. I bottled every single thing up. Nothing came out, absolutely nothing. After bottling up for too long, I would just eventually explode and cry and have an emotional throw up, so to say. I finally came to the conclusion that I should probably visit my therapist. I talked about what I was going through in the session, and I was vulnerable. And I admitted I was depressed and my anxiety had reached an all-time high. I asked for meds or anything that could potentially help me with just getting daily stuff done. She denied me. She didn't think I was truly depressed. It took all of my power to make it out of that room without blowing my top and breaking out into tears. I made it in the car and exploded. I knew only going to a therapist that wouldn't give me what I needed wasn't going to help anything at all. I went directly to my physician. I told her through tears. I couldn't handle these emotions anymore. I don't know what to do at all. I couldn't even talk to the people I considered my safest place without busting out in tears and realizing what a true mess I really was. She nodded at me, and together we found some meds that really helped me, hopefully. I took these meds feeling better than I ever had in months. But now, fast forward to about April, and one of my true friends had told me that someone I considered a true friend had been spreading rumors about me, talking bad about me, and really just betrayed me. The next few months until graduation were filled with pointless talks and fake smiles. Until one day, I had just enough and realized if I wanted any of this to change, I had to confront her. So I used all my courage and tried to approach her. But before I could, she walked up to me. "Why won't you let me be in your group?" she asked, which was about an upcoming trip that I had vocalized to others in my group. I didn't want to have to worry about being talked about when I'm supposed to be having fun. I jumped back. "I know you're talking about me, and I don't want to be stressing out about someone who I consider a lifelong friend talking about my back." She then went to deny ever talking about me and then walked right away, immediately starting to talk to other people about me, to my face. After school, I got in the car, started crying once again. But yet, this time, they weren't sad tears. They were happy. I was happy I had just had enough courage to say how I felt and stand up for myself in a situation I wouldn't have been able to a few months ago. So I leave you with this talk. With your shame, your emotions, your fear, and so much more that's holding you back. Let your vulnerability be your superpower and shine proudly in your newfound strength.